Kirioth and it's Stylosa, and we're going to give you the lowdown on the news. That's right, and it's son. Tell me it's right. Tell me I'm not in the wrong place.
You're dead on the money.
Good lord. So where do we begin? Where do we begin?
I believe it will be September the 10th, which was which was last Saturday. Was it Saturday? Probably. Who knows? That's just how it rolls.
Yeah. Because I think Gaming News comes out on a Friday. I think. I mean, this is what a state I am. I think I ain't I the one who produces it. I don't even know where I am.
He lives in his own world. That's all we know.
But a bad world.
What we had, son, was Battlefield 3 Operation Guillotine.
Ah, yes, indeed. Now, it wasn't much footage, was it? I mean, what is it, 49 seconds it clocks in at?
Yeah.
It did look pretty good, but then again, it's easy to make practically anything look pretty good unless it's Alien Hallway or Wasteland Angel or the AI off Deus Ex Human Revolution good in 49 seconds.
Although I seem to remember there was a trailer for... It wasn't King Arthur, it was another Paradox one that they showed. That was about 49 seconds, and it was a trailer of a trailer. That did not look good. That was from Gamescom. But Battlefield, it's always going to look good because it's Battlefield anyway.
Yeah,
they could show a lad just falling over. It'd still look pretty good because it's Battlefield.
So, I mean, Operation Guillotine, I believe, is just a single player. But it's also co-op as well. So, no doubt you'll be seeing that all over Unit Lost as well. There's Stylosa's pulling Kirioth's dead body out of the fire or something. And I'll just leave him. I'd shoot his body. He'd be going, please, it's my leg, boss. And I'll just go, just mercy kill him. And then just say it was accidental discharge.
The mercy
a
strike.
whole clip, and then I reload. Give it him again. Accidental discharge.
That's how wars are fought these days anyway, son. So.
It's all blue on blue, isn't it? What we got next? So what's the next port of call?
Oh, the
Unit Lost shipping.
the Unit Lost ship. What's it called? The Litany of Fury ain't it? The Unit Lost ship. But the next thing was the End of Nations beta sign up, which has begun. And
I signed up.
Well, I think I have as well, actually.
I have. Yeah, I usually do. I usually sign up to everything going, so I'm like, ooh, I'll get this on the YouTube channel.
So, I mean, End of Nations, it looks all right.
It does look all right. I mean, you can see they've clearly nicked off with Command and Conquer's style. You know, you've basically got the GDI nod. I think you only have the two factions, yeah. With the one being like a hard-hitting up-front faction. And no, I think you get 3 factions, don't you? Hang on here. I'm not just spurting crap. I'm sure you get 3 factions.
It has been last week since I last watched the trailer, so...
Just Phil, bro. Phil.
Either way, End of Nations, I know that Dimmy's quite excited about it. He is our grand RTS RPG... what they call grand strategy game enthusiast.
But it's not really like that, is it? It's RTS.
But since it's an MMO RTS, it could be interesting. Because to be honest, I don't think I've really played a proper sort of massively multiplayer online RTS. So, at the very least, it'll be worth a blast just to see what it's like. And let's face it, the studio that are doing it, Petroglyph Studios.
Oh,
you've got to love that, Petroglyph.
What did Petroglyph do? Oh my god, it's a good job I got Google here.
Petroglyph, I recognise it as well, but I can't remember where from.
Oh god, yeah, they were involved in something of pure worth, I'm sure they were.
Immense worth.
Wikipedia will tell us, ladies and gentlemen. No, Wikipedia's took me to the actual rock engraving page. That's not what I want.
Rock engraving?
Yeah, Petroglyph's like an old engraving in a rock. Rise of Immortals, son. Well,
yes.
No, hang on. No, Rise of Immortals is the... I was getting confused with Titan's Quest. It's not that. What did they do here? Empire at War. I think that might have been what I was going on about. That it was like Age of Empires, you remember, but it was massive.
Yes, yeah.
Star Wars
Empire at War.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was quite good. If I seem to remember, that was like 2006, though. That was ages ago, but that was quite good, that.
Yeah, it was 2006. That was quite good, that was. So I think that's probably what... I can remember before. But anyway, going back to the factions of End of Nations, there are the Order of Nations, who are basically GDI. The Liberation Front, which it says, as chaos spread, as chaos spread. That's not even English. That should be as chaos spreads, the leaders of the nations of the world were commanded to sign over leadership of their people, to their people, blah, 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 whatever. But I'm sure that's wrong. Anyway, a little typo there, so if you're listening, change it and send me some money at contact@unitlost.com. The Liberation Front, they look like they are GLA. GLA!
Buy me some shoes!
Buy me some shoes! From Generals, if anybody doesn't know who they are. They are the Global Liberation Army, I do believe. And the Shadow Revolution, well, they stink of Nod because they're all about stealth attacks and crap like that. So you've got GDI, GLA, and Nod. I don't know what GLA are doing there because they're quite ancient, really, compared to the rest of them. There you go. But anyway, let's move on from this. There's no upside, bloke. It's just blatant rip-off.
There is on the upside because the last Command and Conquer was terrible. So if End of Nations is good, it can take its place.
You don't talk about that. You know what? I was like a Command and Conquer addict. I had, I've played all of them apart from Command and Conquer 4. I was in the multiplayer beta of it, and I was sitting there, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "What is this? Why?" Right? No, just stay with me a minute. Why in Command and Conquer 4? Where the world is supposed to be absolutely infested with Tiberium like you wouldn't believe. Because all of a sudden, there's no Tiberium as a resource in the game. You don't mine it. And you fight on maps where there's no Tiberium. Where's it gone? Now, maybe it was some element with the story that they managed to cure it. I don't know. But it is terrible. There was no resource collection. That is Command and Conquer. I'm leaving now. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's had too much airtime. It's terrible. It's absolutely rancid. The next thing we got is a Rock of Ages review up by Dimmy. Rock of Ages is a bit crazy. You're a rock rolling through the ages, trying to smash in the enemy's castle and roll over them, and the enemy is some kind of historical figure.
It's totally crazy, but I love it.
It's crazy. The only issue I've got with it is the replayability. I mean, as I was saying to Kirioth before we started recording this, we were having a discussion about it, and I said, "Well, how often have I played the game since the recording?" Never. We literally did an Is It Pure, and then nothing. Because it's not like it's funny. It is funny. I'll give it that, but it doesn't seem like it's got much depth to it. But then it's only I think it's only $6.99 or £6, so it's not too bad. I mean, it'll make you laugh. And you got to ask yourself, how much would you pay to go to the cinema to watch a totally shit film for an hour? You're going to get more than an hour's enjoyment out of that, or 2 hours. However long films last for an hour. What film's that? So what's next? What's next?
There's Saints 3 trailer, which looked really, really odd. They were just like hackers, and they all looked like they were in Tron, and it was just Saints Row again.
Saints Row.
I'm starting to get a bit disaffected because it just gets more and more silly every time I see it, and it's like there's going to be no surprises left in the game at this rate.
Yeah, it's like they're burning them all on their advertising campaign, isn't they? It just looks totally crazy. It's like them and who was it? It was Ace Team, was it? I think it was Ace Team who did Rock of Ages. What were they smoking? And were they sharing the spliff? Because, I mean, it's like, what the hell? We'll no doubt we'll get some content done for that Saints Row, but just looks crazy. What the hell? Also reeks of an Xbox game, but whatever. What next? What next? While I just take a sip of tea.
Oh, the next thing is Syndicate. It looks like Syndicate's returning.
Oh dear.
He's decided to join the bandwagon with games getting a reboot, and so they've turned up with a new Syndicate game. So, yeah, I don't know why they suddenly decided to do that.
It wouldn't surprise me if in the coming year or something we see Wing Commander announced as a new Wing Commander or some crap like that. It'll probably be turned into an FPS like all the rest of their dodgy games. I mean, Syndicate is not an FPS game.
No, but they've made
it's
it.
Not. It's like XCOM. That is not an FPS game. Have you seen the state of XCOM? XCOM is fucking rancid. I've seen it, it's like the graphics look piss poor. They look terrible. And what? It's laggy. On the footage they've put out, it's laggy. Why? You don't do that. Who would authorise that in any media department? I know what we'll do. Right, we've got to show off our new game. we've got some footage here. Oh, it might be horrendously laggy, but it doesn't matter. We'll just put it out anyway. It's a travesty. And I do believe XCOM is in quite a lot of top 10 gaming lists, is voted the best game of all time. Kind of on par with the first Deus Ex, I think, and what else is almost up there? God knows, but it's always up there, XCOM is. So you'd think to yourself, why wouldn't they just replicate it with better graphics? Because if you look at the people with PCs now, gaming machines, I guess the demographics got to be 20, it's got to be between 20 and 35 surely. And all them people who are 35, above 30, you know, I think probably 28 to like and above now in age, they would have played Syndicate and XCOM. Well, Syndicate, they were out when we were kids, I remember that, but, you know, we were kids, that's the problem. But, you know, why not just replicate the XCOM game and then sell it again? Because they'd buy it. They'd buy it in a heartbeat. And
the thing is,
the money.
and a new generation of people would buy it as well, because the older generation would be going, oh my god, this is amazing.
Well, who
I played the original
are the majority of the gaming press now? What are their ages? They'd piss the pants over it. So to me, it just seems stupid. What they're doing is they're making it into an FPS game because of the impact of COD on the market, and they know that they can sell big on consoles because you've got a big gun and you're a man who goes shooting other men in the face. So we'll have to see how that turns out.
Man shooty action.
I got some sad news next though, bloke.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. On the 12th of September. No, it wasn't the 12th, sorry. I think it was the 11th of September. Andy Whitfield dropped dead. Which is quite bad. Because I don't know if you know who he is, but I'm going to tell you. He was Spartacus. Now, Spartacus was quite a good show indeed. May have been over the top. But it was crazy. In a good way.
That was the worst news I've seen for quite a while, to be honest. Because I was always holding out hope that he'd make a recovery and come back to it, because he was a damn good
I mean, he was
Spartacus.
only 39 as well, which is a bit of a shock. I mean, he died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is bad. I mean, that's cancer of the immune system. That is, you do not want that. You know, most people would die with that, I'd imagine. Quite bad. So that's quite sad. And it was one of my favourite shows.
And mine. It was amazing. It was just... Oh, I'll tell you what.
It made naked nude women just walking around become the norm, and murdering people also the norm.
Yeah, he just stopped caring. He was like, oh, look, there's a naked woman and there's a man being murdered, whatever. Amazing show.
Oh, look at me coughing to death. So, the next thing we've got is Sengoku demo was released. Now, this is kind of old news because the game's out now. So we'll just skip past that because it's like, okay, Sengoku, indeed. Well, actually, we won't skip past it. Well, I'll just quickly talk to you about... I tried to play Sengoku. I've never played a grand strategy game before. The only thing close to a grand strategy game I've played is Civilization. And I don't think that's more about empire management than... Well, I don't know. It kind of is a grand strategy game, I suppose, but it's simple. You know, it's not hard. Sengoku, Well, I believe I said in my video, it made me feel like I just had a frontal lobotomy. I do not know what I'm doing. I cannot comment on these grand strategy games. I have no idea. It's like you have to read a goddamn book before you even play the games, and that is not something I really want to entertain. However, it was quite hilarious to do it for the YouTube channel because I just look like an idiot. More so than I normally do. So we move on from that. Then we got there was 20 minutes of Skyrim footage, which I had already seen. I think it stinks well, you don't stink of anything, but it came from QuakeCon. But there's a little bit of a dodgy thing with this. It looks to be exactly the same footage that's come from QuakeCon. Now, unless they recorded it there on the stage, that would mean the guy who was pretending to play it wasn't actually playing it.
I'd guess they were recording it on the stage and they released it. They were going to do it officially at some point, but someone beat them to it with that horrendously shaky cam footage.
Why would you record it on the stage, though? It seems a bit dodgy. Like, why would you... surely, if you were going to do, like, a demo like that to QuakeCon, where, you know, a lot of people are going to be watching, you know, in the crowd and whatever, you wouldn't really want to record it in case it... You know, it's like another thing which could go wrong. Because then that would make it look quite bad. So, I don't know. It does seem dodgy. But the actual footage itself, you know, Skyrim, every time I see footage of it, it looks better and better. I seem to be some kind of graphics Nazi, but I'm going to pass a little comment. They don't look mind-blowing. You can see some of the textures look really low, but I know that's from the Xbox, so maybe it'll be better on the PC. We just don't know.
We can hope. We can always hope. The next thing was there was a War of the... Someone put up the War of the Roses presentation from Gamescom, right? Now, this is a bit delayed, I know. But I watched it because I was thinking, War of the Roses actually look kind of, interesting, funky. It just makes me think of Mount and Blade, but with a bit more sort of effort and thought put into it. But I watched it, and I'm here to tell you that you don't really need to bother. What they tell you is that War of the Roses is going to be released. It involves armor, swords, chopping people, and building up an army to chop more people, and it's published by Paradox. That is what was in 7 minutes worth of presentation. That's all the info. That's all you get, and as such, just stay away from it. You've just heard it. I've just told you everything about the game that you've already known. So there you go.
Consider yourself told.
Yeah.
Then there was a Shogun 2 Total War Rise of the Samurai, which I think is DLC. It is DLC. I haven't played Shogun 2 Total War, so I can't even comment on that. But if you do like it, there's DLC coming out. And if I need to pick it up, tell me in the comments, because then I will. But yeah, pretty much that. The next thing we've got is Arma 3, a load of Arma 3 videos. Now, Arma 3, I haven't played any of the Arma games, and I don't think you have as well, have you, Mr. Kirioth? No. I did play Operation Flashpoint years ago. Like, I'm talking years ago. It had Russians in it, and it was... I can't even remember the name of the game, but it was dead old, like, years ago. Oh, it's got to be getting on 10 years, if the game's even that old. But it is basically the most realistic tactical combat, military combat game you can get. If I thought Red Orchestra was realistic, then this would blow me away. But the graphics on some of the points of this, they look really good. The jet fighter going around and things like that. But there's a ton of videos on the blog. It's... I don't really know. I mean, unless you want to add anything past that, I don't really know too much about the game. Apart from just a military simulator.
From the videos, it looks solid, to be honest. But it's one of those things where I think you've got to really like the realism slant to get anything out of it. I prefer more arcadey games. So whilst I did think that actually it looks very good, I'm also aware that I'd probably get quite frustrated with it. But it does look to be ridiculously realistic. There's none of this, being shot in the chest or regen health. If you get shot in the chest, you're dead, which is how it should be, but also how I don't want it to be. So,
well, the only reference point I've got is Red Orchestra 2, and I remember laughing to you over Skype saying the game to me is just like you're going to spend most of it hiding in a ditch, fearing for your life. You're not really doing anything because you know if you pull your head out of the ditch, you're going to get shot, and then you're dead, and that's oh dear, I'm dead, I'm gone. So it's a patient man's game, or somebody who's really into military tactics and whatnot, and not running in like Bad Company 2 style, dropping mortars on people and jumping in and out of tanks super fast and all that stuff, which unfortunately I am quite into. Now, the next little thing we got, son, was the Diablo 3 skills calculator, right? Now, the main thing about this is it shows you all the skills. Because as far as I'm aware, nowhere else actually showed you all the skills.
I say wasted. I've spent so much time on this skill calculator. I've produced any number of different barbarians, my favourite one of which had nothing but AoE attacks, which would be useless for bosses, but for everything else, it'd be brilliant.
Well, I mean, the AoE stuff, you just absolutely wipe out all the mobs, won't you? You can imagine you running around just blowing them to bits, and that'd be me. What are you doing, Blake? What's the point?
It's just...
It does look quite interesting. I mean, I've got the Barbarian skill calculator up now, and you can pick a skill. So let's say I go for Furious Charge, but then you can also add a rune stone to it, which turns it into a different ability. So Furious Charge is it rush towards the enemy, rush towards the enemies, knocking them back, inflicting 60% weapon damage, and 30% damage to enemies along the path of the charge, right? And generates fury if you hit an enemy. But then you could say turn it into Merciless Assault, which reduces its cooldown by 1, and for every target hit, the effect can reduce the cooldown by up to 8 seconds. And then Battering Ram, increase the damage at the destination to 300% weapon damage. And then like Stamina, generate 8 fury for each target that's hit. Juggernaut regain 5% of your maximum life. So you can see how you can think, I'll be a DPS barbarian with Furious Charge, so what I'm going to do is get a battering ram. Or I'm going to be a tank barbarian, so I'm going to get Juggernaut because I'm going to regenerate my health every time I do it. And that's quite interesting.
That's one of the things that's made me spend so much time in it. Just switching out the different stones massively affects the way it'll play. So It's not just a case of you pick your skills. You pick your skills and then you pick like a second, almost like a second talent tree to decide what those skills do. It's looking good, to be honest. I mean, I've complained about Diablo 3 because of the whole, selling your stuff for real money.
We know it's going to be a good game to play because, I mean, that's just... you would imagine it will be a good game to play, but all the other little bits and pieces that come out are pretty shit, which we'll get to eventually in the old podcasting news thing you're listening to right now on Unit Lost Tube and also on unitlost.com. Good lord, advertising for the win. The next thing we got is Red Orchestra 2 is out. Now, as I was on about that a bit more, I did an Is It Pure, which shows off the single player. I am, however, aware that it is a multiplayer game. It's not really a single player game. I wasn't really that impressed with the game. The AI seemed terribly broken. You seem to be able to capture points quite easily without really doing anything. Now, I know you could argue, you walk towards the point, you're in the vicinity of it, you're capturing it, your troops are around you, that's great. But when you're just walking up to the point and you're not really doing anything combat-wise, and it comes up you've completed an objective because your other AI have shot people, that's not very good. You want to be the one doing the shooting, but again, it comes back to this like tactical military shooter thing where it's more than just you. So, as far as single player goes, it's okay. It seems to have quite a lot of bugs, although I have noticed a couple of patches have come out for it. I haven't touched the multiplayer yet, but when we do, we will do a Unit Lost multiplayer recording. No doubt it'll be funny, but that'll show off the multiplayer better than me just talking about what I believe the multiplayer to be. So yeah, that's out, Red Orchestra 2. Not really much more to say on that. The next thing we got as well is Xbox Live is coming to Windows 8. Now, the funny thing with this is it's called Xbox Live and it just sounds stupid. It's like, yeah, I've got Xbox Live on my PC.
It's just a merge of games for Windows Live and Xbox Live, which are the same things anyway, ain't it really? But it's just poor. It's not why.
It is, and they've obviously kept Xbox Live because, people know what Xbox Live is. They're not just suddenly going to call it PC Live because that would be stupid. But on the other way around, I mean, if you're sitting there with your Windows 8 computer, you've got Batman Arkham City 2 or something which uses Xbox Live, it's like, it don't sound very clever, does it?
No, it's dodgy. I prefer if they just came up with a completely different name that was cross-platform rather than forcing one name on two different things, or sort of going like PC Live on Xbox and PC, or Xbox Live on PC and Xbox. Call it something completely different, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
But what they've said is it will make it easier for people to develop games for the PC and the Xbox, which at the moment isn't exactly a great idea because, what's the Xbox 6 years old hardware? Garbage, we don't want that on the PC. But you imagine when the new Xbox comes out, that'll probably have some graphic weight, girth behind it, processing power. So that'll probably be a good thing for PCs at the time. And then a couple of years on, not so good maybe. What you'll probably see is a lot of indie games coming out through the arcade, trying to muscle in on Steam and Gamersgate and people like that, for the indie market, probably. Because it'd be more attractive. Because if you think about it, if I said to you, hello, Mr. Kirioth, you design a game for Xbox Arcade and it also appeals to PCs. Well, that's a massive market there. If I said to you, come and develop a game and just develop... Well, I wouldn't mind it. I'm not saying I'd mind it, but I would mind it 5 years after it had gone live and it's still the same hardware for the console and the graphics look shit, the games are terrible because they're just so old. Hopefully the consoles don't stay as they have, staying stagnant for so long. The problem is people keep buying them, so why would they bother changing them? Anyway, let's move on. So we're not a console website.
And to prove it, next thing's Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
On consoles.
On consoles. Yes, I did notice that. They also confirmed that PS3 players... PS3 for Counter-Strike. Oh, I mean, yay. But they've announced a casual mode where you can just jump in, get any weapons and stuff you want, and just blast people a crack, which is fine. I don't mind that. Like every now and then, you just want to go in with a machine gun and be an idiot, but
it's yeah. Hardcore Counter-Strike players will be like, this is fucking bullshit. You can't remove buying stuff. But then to some clown on the street who's Joe Average, he'd look at it and be like, well, what's all this buying stuff? He wouldn't know what weapons to buy and things like that. And also the other argument is people tend to end up with a D-Eagle and a AK-47, don't they, most of the time? So, or if they're sniper, they've got the AWP. So what really, does it matter that much? I don't know. I mean, for clan matches and stuff, obviously it's tactical, ain't it? Because if you lose it, you haven't got as much money, so you've got to make decisions. But the hilarious thing is the way they confirm PS3 players using only a mouse and keyboard will be able to play against PC and Mac. See, because I was looking forward to going on to a server full of PlayStation players and just fucking killing them all because they're there with a stupid bloody pad thing, trying to shoot me and they're just getting wiped out. That would have been my idea of pure comedy. Seems it's not the case.
When I first heard that it was when it was going to be on PS3 and everything, I was thinking, oh, why? Why would you do that? But then I have to admit, I did think exactly the same thing as you. I just thought, there's going to be like a clan server somewhere where they all play on PlayStation 3 with controllers, and you could just go in and just win big because they have nothing.
Imagine them trying to ban you. They'd be there with a stupid on-screen keyboard. You'd be killing them all. ban, it wouldn't matter. It'd take them half an hour to type in ban. Quite bad, but quite funny. So the next thing is, now this is like, there is a little bit of additional news to this, and I'm going to be going off memory on that, so don't entirely quote me off it, but however, to begin with, no lag in Diablo 3? Well, that sounds a bit too good to be true, don't it? Apparently, beta players from the Friends and Family beta, because I believe the Diablo 3 beta should be pretty much imminent now, but the Friends and Family's been running. And what they've said is Blizzard are using a new method of client and server communication. So a lot of the work is done on your computer to a point and sent to their server, which verifies it and then sends a signal back. Well, obviously it's a more lightweight signal to reduce lag or completely get rid of lag. Now that sounds like, well, that's quite good, if it uses that type of authentication. But then people were moaning about it lagging. Now, again, I'm going off memory here, but they were moaning about loads of lag in the beta and things like that. So what you believe is just up to you. I mean, I really don't know. But it was an interesting little bit of news, that was.
I think it doesn't... I can't see why they sort of outright lie about it. I don't think they would, but it seems an interesting...
It's a bit iffy, though, ain't it? Coming from the Friends and Family beta,
Yeah, and the way it's phrased doesn't fill you with confidence either. I mean, they're talking about how the client doesn't require the server to respond because it does all the work itself, and then the server verifies it, which is, that's fine. But when you think about it, that means surely you could do anything you like to your client, and then... If the server isn't required to respond, how does that...
Yeah, but if you edit... Yeah, no, it is required to respond though, ain't it? Because you're doing whatever on your server and you're sending it to them and it checks the file. If you look at it this way and says, no, you've edited that, fuck off, and then throws you out of the game. And if you haven't... Right. But imagine if it went wrong, it'd be piss funny. Anyway, I think that's how it works, so that's the basic premise. I'm not a technical man, but I think that's basically what it does. You do the work. You say, I've just moved my barbarian to the left and launched this attack. Confirm this server, confirmed. But if you're saying, I've moved my barbarian to the left and attacked, but really you've ported across the map, you send that to the thing and it goes, no, you haven't, sir, goodbye. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing we got is Max Payne 3 trailer. Now, this is the first gameplay trailer, or the debut, the premiere of Max Payne 3, who... Now, when I first started watching this, the music from Max Payne, I was like, good lord. Gave me goosebumps, and I was like, oh, this reminds me. I forgot how immense the soundtrack was to Max Payne. Then it got kind of strange because Max Payne went from looking like Max Payne to looking like a fat, bald Mexican fella.
With a beard, sir. Don't forget the beard.
Yeah, with a beard.
Maybe he's just been sat down having a beer for a while. He's done what he needed to do in Max Payne 1 and 2.
Well, he had a harsh life in Max Payne 1 and 2.
Yeah, so
when he takes the painkillers, eases the pain.
Maybe he went to ease the pain with like a massive stack of pizzas and a 12-pack of beer every day for a year, and then he's come back unshaven.
It looks crazy. And I think there's also a multiplayer trailer out as well somewhere on the internet, so get searching for that. And the next thing is there's a new champion, Riven the Exile, which I think is out now, ain't it?
Yes, I have have Riven. I've only played against bots, and hilariously, as is my luck, whenever I play against bots these days, Riven actually is quite good to play. She's a bit weak to start out with. You don't want to go after people because they'll just butcher you down. But the combo system that she uses, where your Q attack, you can use 3 times and it does 3 different attacks, one after the other.
Yeah.
It makes it very interesting to play with her because you don't get that sort of instant hit gratification that you do from other characters, like with, say, Blitzcrank. If you use the fist, it takes a massive chunk of damage and the ability is gone. With this, you've got 3 separate small abilities that are the same ability that add up to quite a bit of damage, but it happens in 3 separate stages. So if you miss 2 attacks, then you've missed a third of the damage that you could have otherwise done. So you've really got to work out your timing. And she
doesn't have mana, does she? Or any kind of resource? So do you think that's probably why it's kind of like that? So you don't have to look at the mana, but you've got to worry about your combo stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of mana I think it's purely so that you don't have something else to worry about because it is very, very skill dependent. And I don't want to sound sort of boastful, but the first time I used her, I had 9 kills and 12 assists or something. And I don't know how many deaths I had, but it was less than that. But you had to properly work for all of them. I have to say, with like Blitzcrank, you get to the point where you can just pull someone in and kill them, and that's it. There's thought, you've got to time it right, but with Riven, every kill is I must land this hit, or I do not get the kill kind of kill.
Yeah.
So it's a really fast-paced way of playing, and I found it really interesting. I mean, we still lost because one lad kept running repeatedly into towers, but that's not the point. Riven, a good champion. It'll be interesting to see whether they keep her the way she is now, whether she's given buffs or nerfs. Because I think maybe the first combo attack you get, I think maybe it might need a little more damage because when you start out, it's like tickling them and they don't really notice it. But when she scales up, she does a lot of damage with it. So I think there'll probably be a few balancing patches in the pipeline for her when they've got some proper data back from people who play her regularly. But it's definitely worth checking her out when she comes up free.
Moving on then from that, we have got a LucasArts are recruiting a senior gameplay engineer for a flight sim game, I do believe.
Aerial combat, son.
Oh, yeah, well, they want people with experience with aerial combat. Well,
so could it be, sir, a new X-Wing versus TIE? Oh, imagine it.
Some chap in the comments here called Stylosa said it will be some shit browser-based free-to-play cartoony Facebook social game. I don't know who he could be, but it's
possible. But I'd be going if it was. Although, as I've said in the article, for God's sake, whatever it is, don't let George Lucas near it.
No. Terrible. That, by the way, is a Darth Vader quote from the new Blu-ray edition of Star Wars.
I can't even mentioning it. I've had like a rant that's been in my head ever since I saw the video that one day will probably get an airing on YouTube in some form because I keep holding it in. But as soon as I see anything Star Wars related, I just think back to the absolute murder of that perfect scene, and it crushes me inside.
The thing is, Vader, being expressionless is the expression, ain't it? It's like, I don't think you're doing that to my son. Off you go, Mr. Emperor. But now it's like, don't you go, no.
Yeah, it's like instead of watching in silence and having the body language and his actions say everything that you need to say, i.e., he moves forward, he picks up the Emperor and chucks him off right down into the big power core. That's all that needed to be done in that scene. But now, no, he sees it suddenly, he goes, no, and it's like, why have you done that? Answer me. He's got no answers. People have asked him, son. Mr. Lucas, he doesn't know.
He don't care. He's got billions
and
billions, and he don't care. He's in some stupid ranch in Texas or somewhere. I don't know. I don't keep up on where he lives, but I'm sure he's in a ranch.
He's been dropped on his head off a horse, and he's been taking crack. That's all we know, and that's why he's destroying his own franchise from the future. What?
Take us to the next port of call, then, son.
the next port of call is something called Primal Carnage, right? Which I've said looks awesome, and it does look awesome in a like I'm 5 years old sort of way. And it seems to be primarily a team-based game where one team is men with guns and the other team is dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs try and kill the men with guns, and the men with guns try to kill the dinosaurs. That is the game.
Well, at the start of that gameplay clip on UnitLost.com, there's there's like a guy with a taser. Well, that's not going to help him, is it? Against like a T-Rex or something.
I think you'd need a bit more voltage, wouldn't you, to deal with one of them?
So, you know what it reminds me of? That stupid bloody Divers versus Sharks game? What? One
I remember
sharks,
that vaguely.
Divers. What the hell?
That was mental, that was.
It was mental, but it's like, what? Do you know what? These people who are investing in these companies should be invested in something of worth, like Unit Lost, and not shit like that. Contact at Unit Lost for more information. The next thing we got is PlanetSide 2. Some new details came out about PlanetSide 2, and basically the lead game design said our goal with PlanetSide 2 is to create a game where you'll fight against and alongside thousands of players, competing simultaneously and directly against one another in massive battles. It's like, if you can do that, that is mind-blowing. But it does seem like a bit of an ask. Can you imagine a battlefield with 1,000 people on it?
I am, and it's awesome.
It is, but what about lag and things like that? It's something that's got... I don't know how that would even work.
They need to speak to Blizzard about that block. It is a bit of an ask. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because I think they're going to start out with the whole sort of, oh yes, we will have thousands of people and 100 tanks and 100 aircraft, and it'll all be war and nothing else.
That's how it should be, though, because I remember everybody was like, no, please, PlanetSide 2, don't be a stupid instance game where it's like 20 against 20 or something like that. And to be fair to them, they haven't done it. I am really interested in this, because if it is a massive battlefield, you know, and there's proper objectives that can be done, that's quite a good game to me. That's something I could play for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Mm.
You know, you imagine a Unit Lost squad going around, or a Unit Lost army, or whatever the hell we'd have at the time when it comes out. Imagine how good that could be.
Unit Lost army. Oh my god.
General of the Unit Lost army. Go over there! But you imagine how good that could be. You know, that's what... But a lot of this is my imagination. Firing, it's like, yeah, massive army. You know, you can imagine somebody sitting there in like a command bunker. We need an airstrike on grid 403. Pilot Kirioth comes in and airstrikes it. That's like, good lord. So you can see why I get kind of excited for it, but I don't want to get excited because it's probably just going to be a bag of shit because it's Sony. But hopefully it ain't, and I don't want it to be a bag of shit.
Please, Sony, not this time.
Well, I played EverQuest 2 for long enough, that was alright, but then it went downhill. So next we've got PayPal. PayPal all your Diablo free loot. Now this is what I was on about a bit earlier on with some decisions they make. I don't like the fact you can buy stuff off the stupid auction house, right? Because all Blizzard have done is legalise item trading, but give themselves a percentage of it. Which is quite clever from a business point of view, but is absolutely shit from anybody with half a brain's point of view. Because they say things like, yeah, you can sell your loot. Oh, that's pretty good. I'll sell some loot, right? But as I said, they just legalised the trading of the stuff. So any kind of Chinese gold spammers and whatever the hell they are over there, they're just going to do it anyway, but they're just going to have to pay Blizzard for it. Blizzard want them to do it because they're going to make money off them. So it's like they're saying, oh, here you go, here's like a fully, like, what would you, like a software suite for your trouble, sir? Good sir. There you go, sir, good sir. Go and get some gold, sir, and sell it, sir, and we'll take 10%, sir. So that's what makes me think it's fucking rancid and I want nothing to do with it. But they've announced that they're accepting PayPal payments, so I made a little screenshot for the website, like, and stuck it up with PayPal superimposed underneath the price. That's not what it looks like. I've done that. But
yet. That's what it looks like, yet.
Yeah, you can see it having options, can't you, like a drop-down menu. Do you want to pay by Visa debit, MasterCard, PayPal?
The thing is, my problem with that is, if they did do something like that, which is possible, let's face it, how sort of immersion killing would that be? You've just fought your way through the goblin horde and faced down the chieftain. He's dropped a hat that's for a caster, but you're a barbarian, so you've got no use for it. You open up the auction house, and someone buys it off you using their American Express card. I mean, it's just like, what?
Oh my god. Yeah, it's just crazy. You could talk all day about that Diablo auction house thing, and it's just like rancid meat. And dear oh dear, what's next? So take us out of this quagmire.
Well, the next thing is apparently, according to, I don't know how to pronounce this, Planet Battlefield, which is French.
Planet Battlefield,
which is French for Planet Battlefield, in case you were wondering. They've said, the community manager, Kusa, this is probably true, it was translated by a machine, which means Google Translate. So, for all I know, he could have just been putting his shopping list up. But apparently what he said is, regarding the beta on PC, it is ready, but many require a beta preparations. DICE is working to accelerate these preparations with Microsoft and Sony. Once these are completed, the beta will begun. So, begun. So, basically, what it looks like he's saying is the PC beta is ready, but Microsoft and Sony are not ready, and as such, we do not have it yet. I don't
really want the beta.
Well, no, I just want to play the game when it comes out because it'll be ruined for me.
Yeah, if I get the beta, I'll just be there playing it all the time, and it'll just be all. I mean, you've seen the state of me, that i43. I'd just be playing it all the time, and it'd be like, oh. But then, if you're playing the beta, you know the maps, so you can win even bigger. Good lord,
it's
tempting.
But not
horribly tempted.
There was that about the PC beta being ready. Apparently, I mean, I'm still. Maybe it's right, maybe it isn't, but I didn't know Planet Battlefield was like an authority on these things. I thought it was just a fan site, but I could.
It's a bit strange. It's a bit strange how I think like, don't GameSpot run the Planet websites? It's a bit strange anyway. Why it's a French one that's got it. I mean, I'm no disrespect to the French, but you would think English-speaking sites because they're, most people speak English in the Western world.
Unless the community manager just slipped up and was not supposed to say anything and did, because let's face it, that happens enough.
It does.
But there wasn't just that. There was also like. For somewhere, from out of nowhere, 1 million screenshots of Battlefield 3 turned up, which we've linked to. It's on IGN, which we've linked to in the article. And I'm afraid I had to pick the one that was my favourite for the image for the article, because in the background it says Tehran Hotel.
Bit of a Iran on the go there.
I just thought that was a nice bit of incidental detail, so I'll pick that.
Well, it features it's guillotine, ain't it? About a future war in Iran, which is probably going to be the next war. Let's face it. Ahmadinejad, he doesn't do himself much favours, does he? And especially with his location and where he is. And I do believe that he's on the border with Iraq. And what's near Iraq, or in fact is kind of still in Iraq a bit. Quite a big army.
Fairly big.
You can understand why Ahmadinejad is pissed off. I'd be pissed. Ahmadinejad, there's a massive enemy army. Well, they're not enemies, but you don't exactly like them. Just waltzing around over the border. You won't be impressed.
Camped out suspiciously close.
Yeah, it's like on Civilization when you put your army on the border and they go, excuse me, I think you should move your army from the border. And you go, no, they're just passing through. And then the next turn you're launching the massive invasion. It's like, dear, oh dear. The next thing is Portal is free until the 20th of September. Now, they did this before, Valve, because that's where I got my Portal from, because I'm a cheap ass. I hadn't played it until I got it, so I was kind of late to the party. Not as late as you'd be if you get Portal now. But Portal is quite a good game, Portal. It's more difficult than Portal 2, in my opinion anyway. Portal 2 is more of a polished game. It's funnier to play. It's more of a story to go through, because Portal is you just essentially a test subject, go and kill a computer. That's basically it.
Pretty much it. Yeah, there is some nice black humour in Portal. I think the humour was a bit darker than the second one, but on the other hand, the second one has Stephen Merchant, who, let's face it, is a bit of a legend.
People have said I sound like him. I do not sound like him. And some guy was saying I sound like Lister off Red Dwarf. I don't sound like him.
Wrong accent.
Well, his voice is high pitched anyway, like that. What the hell? He's not exactly like that, but his voice is not like mine. I should embed it into this to teach you a lesson, if I can be asked. Probably not though. So, Mr. Kirioth, I'll let you explain the next bit.
Oh, well, the next thing on the site is the latest LOL Chronicles. Now that it was supposed to be weekly, but it's going to have to be bi-weekly because weekly just means I'm repeatedly telling people how I punched someone in the face with Blitzcrank, which is like it's all very well, but it requires a bit more thought than that to make it interesting. Basically, I've just come to the conclusion, as I was writing it, in fact, that I'm turning into that guy that no one likes on their team because they just chase people down and kill them with no regard for anyone else. I realised this in the last flanking, ganking, and ranking that we did, where I realised that frequently, really, I should have been out helping someone else, or maybe controlling the lane, or pushing up, and instead I was chasing a lad down, desperately trying to punch him in the back of the head so that they died. That is not a good person to be. No one likes that guy. And that's what I'm turning into playing Blitzcrank, so I'm going to have to make a change, son. I'm going to have to.
But I like Blitzcrank. He pulls me into the tower. It's funny, although he horrendously fucking pissed me off with looks because when I'm trying to combo my attacks up on, and then suddenly the fucking target gets pulled away, I'm like, what? No. It's the same with Tristiana as well. If I play with anyone playing her and they use the goddamn cannon and blow my target out of range, especially if I'm doing that big GDI ion cannon, and it's like, and they get blown away. No, I'm on my knees. I'm like, please, no. So I don't want any of that because that is bad. And finally, we come to a new villain's reveal for Batman Arkham City. I think he's some sniper guy. What was he called? Deadshot, yeah. So Batman Arkham Asylum was like a game I'd totally missed, but when I played it, I pissed my pants. I was like, Jesus Christ, I haven't missed this game. It's absolutely immense. Then, obviously, after I played it, I was gagging for the next one. And luckily, that'll be out fairly soon, I think. Is it next month?
Yeah, it's quite soon.
I think it's October, isn't it? But don't quote us on that. And I can't be asked to check, so if you want to check, go and check yourself. The next thing we've got is nothing. Amazing. Although, finally, THQ sent us Space Marine. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, for a website which, give a lot of coverage to Space Marine, why hasn't it done any Space Marine videos? And then they've only just started coming out like today and yesterday. Well, it's because THQ were like, we'll give you press copies, which is great. We're obviously, a bloody news website, a YouTube channel. We need the games to do the content on. And then it turns up 2 weeks late.
Yes.
The silence says it all. It's like, what the hell was that? It was like, we could have just gone out and bought the game on day one and would have had the game, and could have started feeding the content out, but no, we had to wait. So that's why there was a delay with that. There will be some multiplayer done at some point, probably just with me and Kirioth, unless we can find anybody else who wants to take part in it with us. And that's pretty much it, I think. I think we need to wrap it up now, don't we, son? We need to come to an end.
We do indeed.
The old news. So remember to check out unitlost.com, people. There are a lot of, subscribe to the blog at unitlost.com. Subscribe to the forum, which is also at unitlost.com/forum. Not at, what am I on about? That's Twitter. But it's not. You know what I'm trying to say. Twitter is at Unitlost Gaming. Facebook and Steam and all the rest of them are in the YouTube video description. So make sure you click on them, because it does help us out. And make sure you like this video, because that also helps us out as well. And favourite it, that also helps, big style. And comment, because we like comments. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Kirioth?
I'll stress the comment thing. We like comments. We want to talk to people, but you've got to talk to us first. You've got to get in there and say, all right, lads, what about this? And we'll reply.
Ideal place for that is the forum as well. If you sign up to the forum, you'll most likely get a response out of us. Also, we're sitting the Steam group as well. The chat for the Steam group most of the time. We're always on TeamSpeak, which is ts.unitlost.com. So, there's a lot of stuff. We're getting bigger and we're getting better. So, I think now's a good time to leave. Mr. Kirioth, leave.
Love it.
I'm off to play Space Marine anyway, so I'll catch you next time, people. Toodaloo!